All right, so let's dive right into COP29.
Oh, okay.
The UN's Climate Change Summit.
Right?
It's happening in Baku, Azerbaijan.
Mm-hmm.
We've got the CNA video, and it's going to help us break down all the main issues.
Yeah, this is a good one.
And this year,
It's a big one.
it is a big one.
Yeah.
It feels different this year.
It really does. It feels like a turning point.
Yeah.
Like there's a real urgency.
Almost every single country feels it.
You can just feel it radiating.
Yeah.
And the planet, too.
Yeah.
You know, it's sending pretty clear signals.
Oh, yeah, for sure. The planet's definitely saying, hey, you need to take climate change seriously.
Yes, exactly.
And speaking of signals,
Yeah.
here's a big one that I noticed.
Okay.
This is the third year in a row that a petrostate is hosting this thing.
Wow.
First it was the UAE,
Okay.
then it was Egypt, and now it's Azerbaijan.
It's like inviting the fox to guard the hen house,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Right, like what's going on here?
It is a fascinating dynamic.
Yeah.
I mean, why would a country that is so reliant on oil and gas
Right, yeah.
want to lead the charge towards a future
Yeah.
that has no fossil fuels?
Yeah, that's a good question.
It is. We're definitely going to unpack that
We'll come back to that.
a little bit later.
Okay, so let's lay out what we're going to talk about today.
I was like, sounds good.
We want to help you understand what is actually happening at COP29,
Yeah.
why it matters,
Huh.
especially for us here in Southeast Asia,
Right.
and what the potential outcomes are.
Yes, exactly. We're going to decode all the jargon.
Right.
We'll connect the dots and hopefully give you all the knowledge you need to not just follow the headlines,
Yeah.
but to really critically analyze what's going on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so the CNA report highlighted 5 main reasons why all eyes are on this COP29.
Okay.
And guess what? Number
Really?
1,
Yeah.
it's all about the money.
You know what they say?
What's that?
Money talks.
Uh-huh.
And at COP29, it's screaming from the rooftops.
Yeah.
Finance is like the centerpiece of this entire summit.
Yeah, it's not just about like vague pledges anymore.
No, not at all.
It's about figuring out exactly how to fund climate action
Exactly.
on a global scale.
Uh-huh.
So let's talk about this new thing.
Okay.
It's called the New Collective Quantified Goal.
Yes.
Is this just another one of those empty promises?
Right.
Or is there something different this time?
This is a big one,
Okay.
and it's tied to the failures of the past.
Okay, so tell me what happened in the past.
So there was this pledge
Okay.
a while back
Oh.
where developed nations
Mhm.
said they would give $100 billion every year
Okay.
to developing countries.
Right.
Yeah, that didn't quite happen.
Yeah, we're good at making promises.
Yeah,
Not so good at actually keeping them.
right. So the new collective quantified goal
Right.
aims to fix that mess.
Okay.
And it wants to create a better system for
Mhm.
giving out trillions of dollars
Oh, trillions.
that are actually needed
Right.
to deal with climate change.
So how's this new goal different, though?
Yeah.
Like, what makes this one better?
Good question.
Yeah.
So the key is that it's quantified.
Oh, okay.
It's not just about throwing money at the problem.
Right.
It's about setting specific targets,
Yeah.
tracking how we're doing,
Uh-huh.
and making sure countries are actually doing what they said they would do.
So it's like a global climate budget.
Exactly.
Okay.
Everyone has to chip in their fair share.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So is that where the loss and damage fund comes in?
Yes,
That's big.
exactly. So the loss and damage fund is
Yeah.
another big focus at COP29,
Uh-huh.
and it's specifically to help countries that are already dealing with climate change.
Okay.
You know, those catastrophic floods in Pakistan last year or the droughts in parts of Africa?
Right.
This fund is for that.
Yeah.
It recognizes that climate change isn't some future threat.
Right.
It's happening now.
And it's causing real problems.
Yeah.
And speaking of problems,
Yeah.
the CNA report didn't really sugarcoat things.
Yeah.
It's looking pretty dire.
There's no escaping the facts.
Yeah.
The planet is in crisis.
Yeah.
The report lays it all out. Global temperatures are rising.
Uh-huh.
We've already passed that 1.5 degrees Celsius threshold.
Oh, wow.
And those extreme weather events,
Right.
they're getting worse and more frequent.
Yeah. And more expensive.
Don't forget the cost, $41 billion
Yeah. That's a lot.
in just the last 6 months.
Yeah, those alarm bells are definitely ringing.
They are.
So before we get too bogged down in all of this,
Yeah.
let's move on to number 3.
Okay.
And this is a big one. It's the elephant in the room
Uh-huh.
that nobody wants to talk about.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
It's fossil fuels.
Ah, yes.
The irony is not lost on me
I know, right?
that Azerbaijan,
Right.
a country built on oil and gas,
Yeah.
is hosting a summit
Uh-huh.
all about phasing out fossil fuels.
It's a bit of a head scratcher.
It is. It's almost comical.
Almost.
But seriously, is Azerbaijan actually committed to this?
Yeah.
Or are they just putting on a show?
That is the million-dollar question.
Right.
There are a few ways to interpret this,
Okay.
and they might all be true at the same time.
Okay.
It could be a genuine effort to diversify their economy.
Right.
They might be recognizing that relying on fossil fuels is risky in the long term.
So they're playing the long game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They see that the world is moving towards a low-carbon future,
Right.
and they want to be a part of that.
Okay, so maybe they're thinking ahead.
They are. It's also possible that they want to become leaders in renewable energy,
Okay.
which is a pretty smart business move.
Okay, so maybe there's more to this than we realize.
Maybe.
But the CNA report mentioned this wording battle
Yeah.
that's expected to happen about phasing out fossil fuels.
Right.
What's that all about?
Well, remember, at COP29,
Yeah.
the language got watered down.
Okay.
Instead of saying they would phase out fossil fuels,
Right.
the agreement just said transitioning away from them.
Ah,
So this year, we're expecting a similar fight over the wording,
right.
with different countries trying to protect their own interests.
So it's like a high-stakes poker game.
It is.
But the future of the planet is at stake.
Exactly. And that brings us to another big point.
Okay, hit me with it.
It's about how conflict affects climate action.
Right? Point number 4.
Yes, conflict and climate change.
They're kind of like two forces colliding.
They are. The report points out how conflicts like the war in Ukraine and all the trouble in Sudan
Yeah.
make it harder for countries to work together on climate change.
Right. It's like trying to solve a puzzle
Yeah.
when everybody's arguing about which pieces go where.
Perfect analogy.
Yeah.
But there's more.
Oh, there's more.
Conflict itself contributes to climate change.
Really?
How so? Well, think about it.
Okay.
Military operations use a lot of fuel.
That's true.
They destroy infrastructure, and people have to flee their homes.
Right.
All of this makes the climate crisis worse. And the countries that are already in conflict
Yeah.
are usually the most vulnerable to climate change.
So they get hit twice.
It's a double whammy.
Yeah, that's tough.
Uh,
The report mentioned this call for a truce COP
yeah.
with a ceasefire all over the world during the summit.
Right.
Is that even possible?
It's a bold idea.
Yeah.
Some people say it's naive.
Oh.
Others see it as a glimmer of hope. The goal is to create a space for dialogue
Yeah.
so we can put our differences aside and focus on the planet.
Yeah.
But whether that can actually happen,
Yeah.
who knows?
It's an interesting idea, though.
Yeah.
Okay, and let's move on to the final reason
Okay.
why this COP is making headlines.
Right.
And this has been in negotiations for almost 10 years.
Oh, wow.
It's carbon markets.
Ah, yes. Article 6.
So for those of us
Right.
who don't speak fluent climate policy,
Yes.
can you break that down for me?
Of course.
What is Article 6 and why is it such a big deal?
Okay, so Article 6 of the Paris Agreement basically sets the rules for how countries can trade carbon credits.
Okay.
So these credits are like permission slips
Okay.
to emit greenhouse gases. And by putting a price on these emissions,
Right.
the goal is to encourage companies and countries
Uh-huh.
to reduce their emissions.
So it's kind of like a reward system for
Exactly.
being good to the environment.
You got it.
Okay.
If we do this right,
Yeah.
carbon markets have a huge potential
Uh-huh.
to lower emissions
Okay.
and to get money to climate projects in developing countries,
Yeah.
which is really important for a fair transition.
That makes sense. So are there any risks with this?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, like what?
One big worry is greenwashing,
Right.
where companies or countries
Yeah.
try to look eco-friendly,
Yeah.
but without actually doing anything real.
Yeah.
We also have to watch out for loopholes
Okay.
that let polluters just buy their way out
Right.
instead of actually changing how they operate.
So it's a powerful tool,
It is.
but we've got to use it carefully.
We do. And that's why these negotiations around Article 6 are
Yeah.
so tough.
I bet.
It's about finding that balance
Yeah.
between using market forces and making sure we're actually protecting the environment.
Right. And the CNA report said that this COP could be a make or break moment
It could be.
for Article 6.
It really could.
Yeah.
What's different this time
Yeah. What is different?
is that the heads of delegations
Okay.
are involved in the negotiations
Wow.
directly.
Got
So that means there's a real sense of urgency to get these rules done
Right.
and get these markets running.
Yeah.
So will COP29 be the moment we've all been waiting for?
Right.
I guess we'll have to see.
Only time will tell.
That's right.
But one thing's for sure,
What's that?
this COP is going to be huge.
It's going to be a big one.
Yeah, and the consequences are going to be felt for years.
For sure.
And we're going to explore all of those consequences.
We are.
And what they mean for Southeast Asia.
Absolutely.
Right after this quick break.
Sounds good. Welcome back to the deep dive.
So before the break, we were talking about those 5 key points from the CNA report about COP29.
Right. All the stuff about the money.
Yeah, the financial negotiations and how the planet's basically sending out SOS signals.
Yeah. And Azerbaijan's interesting role as the host.
And how conflicts are making it even harder to deal with climate change.
Right. And of course, we got into the weeds a bit with Article 6.
Oh, yeah, those carbon markets.
Yeah. Potentially a game changer.
Yeah, it's a lot to think about.
It is.
But it's important to understand all of this
Absolutely.
if we want to really grasp what's at stake here.
Yeah, because this isn't just about saving polar bears.
Or planting trees.
Exactly. Although those are important too.
Yeah, but this is about humanity.
Yes, the global economy.
My societies.
The very fabric of our world.
Exactly. The decisions that get made at COP29
Yeah.
are going to affect us for decades.
They will. It'll impact everything from how we get our energy to how we use it. Right. To international trade, to global power dynamics.
It's a big deal.
It's a huge moment in human history.
So let's look into our crystal ball.
Okay.
What are some possible outcomes here?
Right.
Are we going to see some progress?
Yeah.
Or is it going to be another disappointment?
Well, predicting the future is never easy.
Especially with something like this.
Especially with global climate negotiations. Remember, everyone has to agree.
Right.
Every country has a voice and they can veto anything.
It's like herding cats.
It really is.
But on a global scale.
And the fate of the planet is at stake.
Yeah. So what are some good scenarios?
Okay. So on the optimistic side, we might see a strong commitment to the new collective quantified goal with clear ways to get those trillions of dollars to developing countries.
That would be huge.
It would be a major step toward climate justice.
Okay, what about fossil fuels?
Right.
Any chance we'll see a real commitment to phasing them out?
It's possible. There's a lot of pressure from people and governments to move away from fossil fuels faster. But of course, the oil and gas producing nations, they don't want to lose money.
Yeah.
So there will probably be some compromise.
Okay.
But we might see a stronger signal than we have in the past.
Fingers crossed.
Yes.
Okay, what about Article 6?
Right, those carbon markets.
Yeah. Could this be the breakthrough moment?
It could be. The fact that the heads of delegations are directly involved in the negotiations tells us they're serious.
Okay.
They want to get these rules finalized and get these markets going.
Okay.
If they can agree on ways to prevent greenwashing and make sure we're actually protecting the environment, then these carbon markets could be a really powerful tool.
To reduce emissions.
Exactly.
Okay, but let's be realistic.
Right.
What are some of the risks here?
Well, we could end up with another weak agreement. With no real commitments.
Like we've seen before.
Exactly. And that would be a big setback.
It would?
Especially with all the alarming scientific reports.
And all the public awareness.
Yeah, it would be really disheartening.
Yeah. It feels like we're at a tipping point.
We are.
We can either take action
Yeah.
or fall further behind.
That's right.
Another risk is that all this focus on money
Yeah.
might make us forget that we need real change.
Systemic change.
Yeah. It's not just about throwing money at the problem.
Exactly. We need to change our energy systems, our transportation, agriculture.
How we consume things.
Everything. It's not just about how much we spend, but how we spend it.
And what we change with that money.
Yes. We need to invest strategically.
In renewable energy.
Yes.
Sustainable infrastructure. And development that can withstand climate change.
Exactly.
It's about moving away from this idea that we can just keep taking and consuming.
The endless growth.
Yeah, and embracing a circular economy.
Where we reuse things.
Recycle.
And use our resources more efficiently.
It's a huge task.
It is.
But it's also a huge opportunity.
To create a better world.
A more just world.
A more equitable world.
A more sustainable world.
Exactly.
An opportunity we can't afford to miss.
That's great.
Now you might be thinking,
yeah,
what can I do?
Right.
Does it even matter?
Does one person's actions really make a difference?
Yeah, especially in the face of such a huge global challenge.
Yeah. And it's a question a lot of people are asking.
Especially here in Southeast Asia.
Right, where we're already feeling the effects of climate change.
But the truth is, individual actions are crucial.
They are. For a few reasons.
Okay, tell me.
First, they show that people support climate action.
Okay.
which puts pressure on governments and businesses.
To do more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Second,
Yeah.
if we all do our part,
Uh-huh.
we can actually reduce emissions.
Collectively.
Right?
Yeah.
And third,
Yeah.
it can inspire others.
To make changes, too.
It's about being the change we want to see.
Exactly. So what are some things we can do?
So many things. You can reduce your energy use at home.
Oh.
Switch to energy-efficient appliances, take public transport, or ride a bike.
Right.
Cut back on meat.
Okay.
Support businesses that are sustainable.
Yeah.
Educate yourself and others about climate change.
Right.
And most importantly,
Yeah.
vote for leaders who will actually do something about it.
Yeah. Voting is huge.
It is. And don't forget about your wallet.
Oh, yeah. What we spend our money on.
Exactly. Invest in companies that are doing good things.
Right.
Every dollar you spend is a vote.
For the world we want to live in.
Exactly. It's about making conscious choices.
And every part of our lives.
Yeah, the food we eat.
The clothes we wear.
How we travel.
How we invest.
Everything. And for businesses,
yeah.
especially SMEs.
Right.
It's about making sustainability part of how they operate.
So where do they even begin?
There are some great resources out there.
Okay.
The UN Global Compact. They provide guidance and support.
Okay. And there are local consultancies.
Right here in Singapore.
Yeah.
That can help businesses with their specific needs.
Like 400%.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They specialize in helping SMEs develop their sustainability plans.
Okay.
They can provide tailored guidance.
So it's not as daunting as it might seem.
It doesn't have to be. And the great thing is, sustainability is becoming a necessity for businesses.
It's not just a nice to have anymore.
It's not. Consumers are demanding it.
Right.
Investors are prioritizing it. And governments are making it law.
So it's good for the planet.
It is.
And good for business.
Exactly. It's a win-win.
So even small changes can make a difference.
They can.
And for businesses, sustainability can make them more competitive.
It can, and improve their financial performance.
So to sum it all up,
what
are the key takeaways from our deep dive into COP29?
Okay, so first, this summit is crucial for global climate action.
Right.
The decisions they make in Baku will affect all of us.
Yeah.
Second, the financial part is really important.
Right, especially for developing countries.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Especially in Southeast Asia.
They need help to adapt.
They do. And to transition to low-carbon economies.
And third,
it might seem overwhelming.
Yeah.
But we all have a role to play.
Individuals.
Businesses.
Governments.
Everyone. We need to work together.
And remember, there's help out there.
There is. Especially for businesses.
Yeah, like SMEs.
The Global Compact.
Right.
Local consultancies, like 400%.
They can help.
And the good news is, sustainability is becoming a business advantage.
It's the right thing to do.
It is.
And the smart thing to do.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to encourage all our listeners to stay informed.
Stay engaged.
And most importantly,
take action.
In your own lives.
In your businesses.
And in your community.
The future depends on it.
Now let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back to discuss what all of this means for Southeast Asia.
Sounds good.
Welcome back to the deep dive. So we've gone through all 5 points from the CNA report about COP29.
Yeah.
The money talks, the state of the planet. Azerbaijan hosting the whole thing, conflict and climate change.
Yeah, and of course those carbon markets.
Right, Article 6.
Yeah.
So let's bring it closer to home now.
Okay.
What does this mean for Southeast Asia?
Okay, so Southeast Asia is especially vulnerable to climate change.
We're talking rising sea levels, extreme weather, changes in rainfall.
And all of that is already affecting people, economies, and ecosystems.
Well, I imagine the financial stuff we talked about, like the new collective quantified goal, the loss and damage fund.
Right.
They're super important for Southeast Asia.
They are. A lot of countries in Southeast Asia are still developing, and they need money to switch to cleaner energy and to deal with the impacts of climate change.
So whether those funding mechanisms work will really determine if they can adapt.
Absolutely.
And thrive.
Oh, that's right.
And what about Singapore?
Yeah.
We're a small island.
Right. The stakes are high for Singapore.
Yeah, we're really exposed to those rising sea levels.
Right. And other climate risks.
But at least the government has been proactive.
They have.
They've invested in coastal protection. Water management systems.
It's good, but we need to keep going.
Yeah. And we need to work with other countries.
International collaboration is key.
So this isn't just about some far-off meeting.
No.
It's about what we do here.
right here in Singapore.
In our businesses and communities.
Exactly. Climate action has to happen everywhere.
Everywhere.
Global, regional, national, local.
And it's not just on governments.
No.
Businesses have to step up too.
Absolutely.
And we talked about the challenges for SMEs.
Right.
Trying to figure out this whole sustainability thing. But we also talked about the resources available, like the UN Global Compact.
Right.
And local consultancies like 400%.
Exactly.
And we can't forget that going green is good for business.
It is.
It's not just ethical, it makes financial sense too.
Sustainability is becoming a must-have.
Not just a nice-to-have.
Investors are looking for it.
Yeah.
So it's a smart move.
Ethically and financially.
Exactly.
So to wrap it all up,
what
are the key takeaways from our deep dive into COP29?
Okay, so number one, this summit is a big deal.
Huge.
The decisions they make in Baku are going to affect us all.
Yeah.
Number two, the financial part is super important.
Especially for developing countries.
Right. They need help adapting to climate change and switching to cleaner energy.
And number three.
Yeah.
We all have to do our part.
Individuals.
We
all need to work together.
To drive change.
Yes.
And there's help out there.
There is.
Especially for SMEs.
The UN Global Compact local consultancies.
Like 400%.
They can help.
And remember, sustainability is becoming a business advantage.
It is.
It's the right thing to do.
It is.
And it's the smart thing to do.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to encourage everyone listening to stay informed.
Stay engaged.
And most importantly, take action.
In your own lives.
In your businesses.
And in your communities.
The future depends on it.
Thank you for joining us on the deep dive.
We can build a more sustainable and resilient future.
For Southeast Asia and the world.